Hey folks, it's Jared Mannanen from the website TahoeTrailGuide.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about some basic exercises that you can perform to help increase your balance and stability for cross-country skiing. Essentially what today's exercises revolve around is the exploration of what it means to be balanced on one leg and still be in a functional posture so that you can continue moving forward. The really cool thing about being balanced on one leg is, in spite of it sounding pretty abstract for most people, we do it all the time, and that's while we walk. So we're never on both feet necessarily at the same time when we're just naturally walking. We're always doing those basic cross-country ski movements, or rather cross-country ski movements mirror our natural movements, where we push off from one leg, transfer our weight to the other leg. There's no glide phase in walking, obviously, but it's the same essential motion and same concept of being balanced on one leg for a split second of time so that you can just keep propelling forward. Keep in mind that these exercises are pretty basic. You're not going to get super athletically in shape performing these exercises. I actually incorporate them into my broader overall exercise plan, but I just want to point these particular exercises out specifically because they're directed at getting us to be properly aligned on one leg and then the other in order to feel stable and feel functional on that one leg. All of that said, just note that I'm not an actual personal trainer, physical therapist, or anything like that. So as with any kind of exercise program or incorporating new exercises into your routine, check with your physician and just be safe about performing these exercises. Some quick notes that I want to point out that are pretty universal with regard to performing any of these exercises are: we want to always maintain good alignment with our ankles, knees, and hips. That's kind of the whole point of doing these exercises, is to develop that straight line for all intents and purposes. We want to accomplish weight transfer and balance on one leg not by leaning over, but rather by shifting our hips slightly to the side in which we're standing. And that kind of requires our ankles, knees, and hips to be in this vertical alignment here. But that said, there will be a slight angle on your leg as you draw your hip to one side or the next. What I'm mostly encouraging you to not to do is to collapse your knee inward and somehow lean over or anything like that. We want to be in a functional position where we have this feeling of lightness, extension, and with that said, we also want to draw our center point in, so just a couple inches below the navel or your belly button. We're going to draw that portion of our abdomen in, and it's going to kind of roll our tailbone slightly forward. So we don't want to be standing like hunched over. We don't want to be standing with our butt sticking out either. We just want to have like this neutral posture while we're performing these exercises. One other point is that really try to maintain neutral shoulders, neutral hips. Again, not leaning over. And we don't want to do this when we're cross-country skiing. We don't want to do it when we're walking either. We're just this natural aligned hips and shoulders. Although this stepping up exercise looks super easy to perform, especially considering it's basically walking up steps, by restricting yourself to just a one leg at a time, it's a great practice in landing your weight in the right place, or your center of mass in the right place in relation to your foot. I'm performing it here on a rock. You can use a step at your house. You could use a cinder block, any kind of step basically. And the trick again is to shift your center of mass just slightly to that leg on which you're going to be balancing. To add a bit more complexity to this movement, go ahead and grab a light weight that you can hold in the opposite hand of the leg that you're working on. It just needs to be a thing that's going to cause you to really be deliberate about placing your center of mass over that foot on which you'll be balancing. I completely agree that I may not be the best model for this stepping down exercise, but this is something that built strength and stability in my knees, particularly when I started implementing this into my exercise program. Go down to your comfort level or go down as far as you can without compromising your body position, but essentially we just want to keep those knees from buckling inward as we're lowering our weight down. I do apologize for not providing a better demonstration of this because I'm on a rock and not merely a step or the seat of a picnic table or something like that where it's just a sheer drop. I have this angled rock that I'm kind of compensating for by kicking either of my legs out at an angle. It should just be a straight down, straight up motion. I decided to do this video outside rather than just doing it in my garage just so that it would have a nice backdrop. So we work with what we have. To add complexity to this one, again, keep a weight in the opposite hand. That brings your attention to the fact that now you have some additional weight in which to deal with. There are tons of variations of the lunge. For this video, I just chose to illustrate a very basic kind of static type of a lunge where you get in a lunge position and then drop your back knee to the ground, only for the briefest of moments though. You don't want to rest on that back knee, obviously. If you did that, all the resistance would be alleviated and you wouldn't really benefit from doing the exercise. So just touch briefly that back knee and then come back up. To throw in a little bit of complexity to it, you could use weights in both hands and turn it into a full-on strength building exercise, or you could just use weight in the opposite hand of the front leg. And that adds a little bit of a asymmetrical element to it. So again, you have to have that hip in alignment with the knee and the foot. Probably the one key element to this particular exercise is that you want to avoid pushing your front knee forward of the front foot. I find these single leg deadlifts to be the most challenging of these particular exercises. There's a lot of coordination going on here, and if you're not in the correct position from the get-go, it's easy to just lose your balance. But one of the key factors of this particular exercise is not to rotate your hips so that counterweight leg that's not bearing any weight. The natural tendency for people is to rotate that hip back so that they kind of open up their hips. Try not to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to essentially just come straight forward. And again, the non-weight bearing leg is somewhat of a counterweight to your upper body as it's going downward. You also want to maintain as flat of a back as possible. You don't want to be hunched over or arched unnaturally. Again, just embracing that neutral posture of your upper body. To add complexity to this one, grab a weight, again, not too heavy, but heavy enough to cause you to reevaluate internally your position over that balancing leg. But pass that weight back and forth as you reach that low point. It does provide a fun challenge. Just to round out this brief little workout here, I'm performing some dry land diagonal striding. As you can see, I'm pausing on that forward foot after I've pushed off and transferred my weight to it to simulate the glide phase of diagonal striding. It also enables me to check my balance to see whether or not I'm stable for that moment. Again, you can walk or run and not think too hard about doing it because it's a pretty rhythmic motion. But once you incorporate that pause in time for that glide phase, that's where all the mistakes and inaccuracies can present themselves, because now you just have to hold this posture for a split second as opposed to just keep going and always catching yourself. So doing this diagonal striding on just terra firma is actually pretty helpful as well. Okay folks, that's about all I got. Like I said, really basic exercises, but if performed properly, they can have a big impact on your cross-country ski technique, just for the simple fact that they provide some stability, balance, and then the confidence that comes with that stability and balance, so that you can effectively push off from one leg to the other while performing diagonal striding or skate skiing. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out TahoeTrailGuide.com. And if you feel compelled to contribute in a monetary way, I do have a Patreon account as well as a PayPal.me button in which you can make those contributions. I appreciate all your support. Thanks so much for watching.